So this is Esther, and I did not vlog very well during my program, but I felt like I should upload some videos of information now that I'm home from my program, of things that I wish I had known either before I got there or very early on when I got there. I did fly from California, so I did not have a car. I came out there with 2 suitcases, a huge duffel bag. I checked those bags, and then I had a backpack and a carry-on bag. So I came out there with about 5 pieces of luggage, but I took way too much stuff. I honestly only wore maybe a suitcase and a half worth of clothes. I bought clothes while I was there because the outlets were right there. So I would definitely say, if you are flying from across the country, do not overpack, because honestly you can either always have a friend send something to you, your family send something to you if you desperately need it. But I took a lot of stuff thinking I would wear it, and I just didn't wear it in the end. Another thing about flying, you do not have a car. So you want to make sure and pick a complex that has really good bus accessibility. So Chatham and Vista are the 2 best if you don't have a car. So Chatham gets all the buses, and it stops right outside. It doesn't come inside the gates, so you do have to walk like 100 feet and get your ID checked, but that's fine. Vista, on the other hand, the buses go through the gate and into the apartment complex, because that's where all the buses are hubbed from, so you don't have to worry about your ID going into Vista. You just have to get off the bus and you can walk to your apartments. And then another thing that I wish I had known when I got there was I didn't really know how far the grocery store was. I rode the bus a couple times, but round trip to get to the grocery store and to get back from the grocery store was almost an hour and a half. And when you're with all your groceries, there's not a lot of space. So the bus only seats maybe 15 people, but then you throw like 15 people plus 5 bags of groceries each. It was a crammed space. So I found an app, and I will link it below. It's called Instacart. And basically you can do Publix, Costco, a couple other stores that they have out there, and you can put your cart together and you can pick a time. So if you know, like, you work tomorrow from like noon to midnight, you could say, I want my groceries delivered between 8 and 10 a.m. They will come to the gate, or if you live in the 2 that they're allowed inside, they'll come inside and they'll actually drop your groceries off for you, and you can get the little carts from the security office and cart your groceries over. It costs about $5, I think, to have the service fee, $5 to $7, but honestly for me, $5 to $7 every 2 weeks to get my groceries was so much easier than having to try to work your schedule with a roommate. If that works for you, do it. Have you and your roommate go grocery shopping together. But if that doesn't work, this is like the best way to get your groceries without having to walk a mile to Publix and then cart all your groceries back. Because in the humidity of Florida, that is not fun. So another thing, if you do not have a car out in Florida, the best complex for you, hands down, even though it might be a little bit older, is Vista. Because if you want to go grab something really quickly, I know it might be overpriced at Walgreens, but if you desperately need to get milk or bread or top ramen because you're starving, you can walk out of your complex and walk to Walgreens in like 0.5 seconds. And I think that a lot of people are kind of like, oh, live at Chatham, it's better, we live at Commons, blah, blah. But the thing is, if you live there and you don't have a car, then you're kind of stuck either waiting on transportation to get you to Vista so then you can walk. I did that a couple times before I moved to Vista, and honestly, once I moved to Vista and I was able to walk to Chick-fil-A if I wanted to, or walk to Wendy's, or walk across the street to Dunkin' and get coffee in the morning, it just made everything so much easier because it was right there. And honestly, my apartment in Vista was totally nice. I didn't have any problems, and so I think the fact that it's right there, if you don't have a car, it is really, really important that you have access to the buses and that you're able to walk if you desperately need. There were nights I needed pasta sauce and I didn't have any, and at Chatham I was kind of stuck without it, so I had to figure something else out. So those are really key things that if you don't have a car, I would really highly recommend putting Vista as one of your top options, because it just opens it up to be able to walk to more places. So if you do fly out there, you are going to want to arrive either 1 or 2 days before. If you want to go more than that, that's totally up to you, but you definitely for sure will want to get there at least the day before. And you will know your arrival date as soon as you do your acceptance, because you have to pick your arrival date. So you want to arrive in Saturday or Sunday. stay in a hotel kind of in the Disney Springs area, call and see if they do cast member discounts. I didn't do that because I didn't know that was a thing at the time, but it is. A lot of those hotels in the Disney Springs area will offer cast discounts. All you have to do is show them like your proof of program kind of a thing. And so basically what I would say is if you've linked with roommates and some of them are flying, or if you've linked with roommates and some of them are even driving, maybe link up either the day before or try to book flights that arrive in at the same time. That's what me and my roommates did, and we actually then split the Uber. So 2 were in one Uber and 2 were in the other Uber, and we just stuffed all our luggage in there and we went straight to the hotel. So the Uber cost about $35, but split between 2 people it was like $16 or $17, which isn't like terrible. It's not the greatest, but if you travel lighter than we did, which we did not travel that light, you would definitely for sure be able to get maybe a smaller Uber or fit 3 people in the Uber instead of just 2. So then what we did was we stayed there. We went into Disney Springs for dinner together. We kind of got to know each other. We met up with the other roommates who had driven in that night, and basically we just kind of all hung out and got to know each other. So then on the day of check-in, we all Ubered at different times because we all had different check-in times. So we all Ubered over there at our respective times, checked out of the hotel, and the Uber to Chatham was where we were checking in at. So the Uber to Chatham from the hotel that we stayed at was like $6, so it really wasn't that expensive. So that's the best way to get around. Again, if you have a roommate that has a car that's willing to come back and get you or drop you off first and then check in later for themselves, go ahead and use that if you have it. If you don't have it though, go ahead and I would use Uber, link up with friends, link up with roommates, and so my last thing that I would say for people coming out of state, do not bring bedding, do not bring extra stuff. Buy it all either on Amazon Prime or get it in Target once you get there. You don't need the extra stuff when you're there because honestly the amount of time I actually spent in my room was very, very minimal. I had a tapestry and some lights and I clipped little like Polaroid pictures to that. But other than that, that's all I really had as decoration with some pictures from home on my nightstand. I really only went into my room to go to bed. My roommate and I would maybe hang out there every once in a while, but we mostly hung out in the living room. So we didn't really take the effort to, you know, make our room look super fancy because we really weren't in there that much. You're in the parks, you're going out and doing stuff with your roommates, you're hanging out with other coworkers. So I would say that if you are flying all the way across the country, buy a simple bedspread when you get there and you will be able to sell it when you leave because there's so many more. It's such a rotation of people coming in and out that there's always people looking for bedding, always people looking for mattress toppers, always people looking for lights to decorate their room when they get there. If you have ears that you don't want to take home, you will be able to sell them. So I would just say don't worry and don't be scared to bring stuff with you because you really only need to bring your clothes and maybe a couple pictures from home of your family and your friends. And so I would say do not stress in that direction. Don't worry about trying to ship things to you because you really aren't going to need them once you get there. They do have Target, they have Walmart, they have all these other stores that you can go to if you really desperately want to get something, but I wouldn't take up that space in your suitcase or the weight of your suitcase by packing a bedspread. So that is all for things that I wish I had known before my program started, and a little tidbit on what to do when your program is started. I'm going to be making a video about the pros of living in Chatham and the cons of living in Chatham, and then the pros of living in Vista and the cons of living in Vista after this. Those were the 2 that I lived in. Pretty much like split half and half for my program. I did a voluntary move, which I can also explain to you what that is in my next video, so make sure to check it out.